It's Healthy Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I usually have 3 co-hosts, but today I have 2 because of the traffic in Lagos State. So Nima is still stuck in traffic and we're starting the show without her. So that's the story of our life. Unfortunately, usually we steal people from Wake Up Nigeria from news, but today nobody is available. So we have to just do the show without Nima. How are you doing, YK?
No, but she'll be here, hopefully.
Yeah, she'll be here soon. I mean, listen, it's the story of our lives. Those of you living abroad in the UK watching us, you can understand what we go through. The poor girl has been stuck in traffic, the trailers in that Apapa Expressway, and she can't even take a bike. Can't even, the bikes are in traffic. If you see the pictures, the bikes can't even move. So the poor girl, they're actually just going gradually.
If she takes a bike, would she leave her car there and then come and meet it vandalized?
Yeah, exactly. So, story of our country. Anyways,
you know,
one of these days.
I saw a tweet the other day where saying people, it is only in Nigeria, in Lagos, that people in jeeps will be envying people on Okada.
I'm telling you, during the traffic.
And it's so
on 3rd Mainland Bridge, yes, because they're there zooming away, and you are in the jeep, you're stuck and you can't move an inch.
AC gone will not even greet to work after some hours.
Okay, how you doing? I love the blue. This is Adire, right?
Yes, Adire, from Abeokuta.
It's beautiful.
Where I come from.
I'm not big on Adire because I think it's just too hard.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not hard.
There's something about it that just looks so hard. I don't know.
It's actually more of Nigerian material than Ankara. Ankara is imported, you know, or
so this
made
is
by
ours.
Foreign. This is ours, really ours.
There's some of it in Lagos there. How do you see it?
Ankara we wear. That we're shouting.
Most of it is foreign, Jerry.
For real?
Ankara is made. Some are here, some are also foreign.
But they're made by the people that are the ones that are even made here. They are normally owned by foreigners. Oh. You know, they have mastered the art. So the Ankara, I think, originally was our own, but they now mastered the art and sold it back to us, you know. It's normal in our lives that they master the art of what we do.
But this one is
like oil.
You see, you have to go to Abeokuta to get this stuff. That's the problem I have.
You can get it in Lagos. I got this in Lagos.
Oh, really? They have the Adire in Lagos. I hardly
There's a shop in Freedom Park where they sell Adire. It's expensive, but
it's expensive. That's a problem.
Then inside Lagos,
Adire.
Where I got this.
I hardly see
Adire is more expensive than Ankara, I think.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's beautiful anyway. I like it.
But it's beautiful.
Yes.
But they always only have blue. Adire is usually just blue.
No, Adire comes in different colors.
For real?
I've seen other colors.
Yeah, if you go to Abeokuta, go different, beautiful. There are some that are satin.
Oh, really?
I'm going to. I have one that I bought. I'm going to show it. You will see beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful.
Nice. Okay, how are you doing, Abiajide?
I'm amazing and grateful.
You have the middle ground to yourself today.
Yes, I do. So I decided to start this gratefulness challenge. You know, where every day for the 31 days we have in December, I pick something to be grateful for. You know, just like making it, making people understand that it's very important to be grateful to God, to the universe, to your Creator for giving you everything. So we should stop a life of always lamenting. I don't have this. I don't have money. I don't have a husband. I don't have this one. I don't have
what would you do?
That one. No. You don't need to lament. You need to be grateful for what you have, because a lot of people are looking to be where you are right now, but they don't have that opportunity. So every day I pick something to be grateful for. And today is the turn of my husband. I'm grateful for my husband. I'm sure he has not seen the post. He would have chatted me, Auntie, why are you calling me out?
Is this every day you do this, or every week?
Yeah, every day.
Oh, nice.
For 31 days. So it's 31-day gratefulness challenge in December.
Okay, so after the 31 days, will you now start remembering your lamentations?
I naturally, I'm not a lamenting person. I hardly lament. For me to complain about something. No. I don't even complain. I watch movies. I do something.
You start the traffic while you're driving?
If I'm driving, I won't watch movies. If I have a driver with me, like
I remember the day you lamented, though.
It was once in a while. I was pushed to the wall.
Don't mind.
But I hardly lament.
You know,
it's not my thing.
You know, I just realized that I am getting very old. Yesterday, I was looking for a shirt, a scarf that I wanted to tie on my head. And I was looking up and down. I was looking.
You see it?
It was in my hand.
I
was holding it. I was doing like this. I was looking. Oh, God.
Imagine that. It's old age. Why can you soon be 60?
We'll get there.
I mean, that's like in 2 years.
No, it's not even 2 years. It's a year and a few months, because I'm going to be 59 in less than next year, May. 6 months.
Right.
6 months.
So,
then from that 6 months, from that
Lagos State, we're shutting down Lagos State for YK.
You look 40, say.
YK, we're shutting down Lagos.
First of all, shut your view first. We'll do the party here.
you know you like champagne. And YK started drinking champagne.
Yes, I saw the picture. She was so excited.
But did you drink the champagne? You were just holding the glass.
I drank a couple of glasses.
So for those of you that don't know, YK actually, she stopped champagne for 3 months, and she was pretty excited about alcohol for 3 months, and she was pretty excited about it. But she warned us that December 1st, she has parties for, all the way to December 31st. She's going to be drinking. So she finally got a glass of champagne, and we saw the pictures.
And guess what? It didn't even shock me.
Yeah, exactly. I thought so.
I thought I would be, you know,
because he had it for a while.
Instead, I just felt sleepy.
I thought so.
So my partner started fighting me. You see now, when you will drink now, you'll be sleepy.
So YK, your body is telling you doesn't need alcohol anymore. So it means
I think that is.
So that a good time to quit totally.
I think so. I'm
on the
blood
of Jesus.
Calm down.
Blood of Jesus.
Jesus has nothing to do with this. This is
calm down, please.
Reality check. Reality check.
All right, let's go on a break. It's Tuesday. We still have a lot of things to talk about. But first, we'll go through the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're going to start with The Nation. INEC, APC differ with PDP over violent polls. PDP alleges rigging collusion. APC says opposition should wake up. 2019 election, Wike floors ADP's Fingesi at appeal court. Borders will remain shut, says Buhari. 5 inmates electrocuted in Ikoyi prisons. Saraki loses his 1 billion naira houses to federal government. And picture here of Barcelona and Argentina. Forward Lionel Messi with the men's Ballon d'Or he won for the 6th time. All right, let's stay on the major headline. INEC and APC are different. Well, PDP is practically saying that INEC and APC colluded and masterminded this monumental rigging that happened in Bayelsa, Kogi, and the recent elections. That's pretty much it. And APC has responded, saying that they should go clean up their house. They need to wake up. That's pretty much what that article was saying.
Okay,
is
the
anything
5
else?
inmates?
Yeah, it's all over the papers. Let's take it somewhere else because it's a major headline elsewhere. World Bank to federal government. Let's move on to the Punch right now. Reform now to stop further slide into extreme poverty. Very scary article. Bank says 30 million more Nigerians may be poor by 2030. Court orders forfeiture of Saraki's houses to federal government. 5 awaiting trial inmates electrocuted in Ikoyi prison. Buhari's disregard for court orders legendary, says NBA Shiites and Falana. PDP make boycotts future polls if rigging persists. Naval captain gets bail after 1 year in detention. No apology for citing transport vacancy in Daura, says Amechi. Deep-rooted dishonesty in Nigeria warranted border closure. Court upholds Inspector General's power to recruit 10,000 constables. And FGO's pensioners 400 billion naira, says Senate. Obagun, which story do you want to take there?
The 5 persons again?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I think there was a power surge that happened in the Ikoyi prisons, and the electricity cut off. I think some of the wires fell and it landed on the bunk beds of the inmates, and 5 of them were electrocuted. About 9 others were injured. So investigations are ongoing as what caused that power surge, so that it could be, you know, it will be prevented from happening next time. They also talked about the overcrowding of the prisons. That particular room that was supposed to have like 200% had more, so much more. They have about, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, the prison was built for 800 inmates.
Yes.
They have 3,113 inmates. 2,680 are awaiting trial.
Yes.
And for me, that was what I really took out of that. How can you have a place that was built for 800 people,
and you have
3,000 people,
That's
and
failure
over 2,000 are just awaiting trial?
That's
Even the 5 persons
system
that died were awaiting trial.
Can you imagine?
Really sad, really sad.
So
story.
they really have to. I mean, we had a prison guy who came on Your View last year sometime, was saying, "Oh, everything is all right."
Reform it, yes.
Anyway, there's another story that caught my attention. Buhari's disregard for court orders legendary. Shiites were saying that they've counted over 40 cases where the federal government has totally disregarded the court orders, and especially the continuous detention of Zakzaki and his wife, and even Daura and others. And Femi Falana was saying in his own from his own calculation, he has over 50 cases where the federal government is still have not upheld court orders, and these are obviously monumental disasters, and it's unfortunate that it makes us look bad in the international community.
But I would like a situation whereby the federal government pays attention to what the people are saying. You cannot say we are running a democracy where you do not uphold the rule of law. So look, the courts will give a judgment and then you just overlook it and you're not doing anything.
Look at this Showore matter. I mean, I don't care what he did. He has been given bail.
Yes.
Yes, and respect the court order.
Respect the court order. Now, the judge, who was sounding like a toothless bulldog, was saying, okay, now I'm calling for the arrest of the DSS. Have you heard of it?
No, we haven't.
Who is going to arrest him? It's not the DSS boss.
What's more painful, why? Because we're not even hearing from the government, from the president. It's just sometimes
to say something about this.
We need him to speak to us. What is going on? Why are you continually detaining these people, especially when the court has asked them to be bailed?
So should we just bury courts for now and say, okay, the government is now the judge, jury, and that's the way I'm looking at it.
Let's pick one more story in Punch. There's a story that caught my attention. 11 corpses discovered in rivers. Who has that story?
Yes, I have the story. I want to quickly get
We should take it somewhere else. Let's move on to Daily Sun.
All right.
Deaths in Ikoyi prison. 5 inmates electrocuted. We just talked about that. Police IPOB in bloody clash. 4 feared dead in Anambra. Rivers Guba appeal court affirms Wike's re-election. Intense lobby intrigue engulf EFCC over chairmanship. IGP floors PSC in fresh recruitment. Okay, who has a police IPOB clash?
IPOB, yes, I do. So IPOB is saying, they said yesterday that allegedly the police invaded the house of their lawyer, Mr. Ifeanyi Ejiofor in Orafite. And that's Ekusigo local government. And then they opened fire. I think they had an altercation with some of the boys in the building, the IPOB boys. They opened fire and killed 2. So those other ones retaliated and killed 2 policemen as well. So it was a gun battle, so to speak. And people are speaking up about it, saying that they shouldn't have just, if they wanted to arrest anyone who have committed anything, they know that you've committed an offense, they would have just arrested you peacefully without shooting individuals. And so the IPOB is upset now and they had to retaliate. So it's still ongoing. Moving
on to Vanguard. We talked about the Ikoyi prison, which is the major headline there. But Vanguard says 18 are in coma. I didn't read that anywhere else. 5 killed in police IPOB members clash. We talked about that. UBA Group emerges Africa Bank of the Year. Border closure, domestic fuel consumption down by 30%, says Buhari. I have no regrets citing a transport varsity in Daura, says Amechi. My father had 7,000 naira in his court when he was killed, says Murtala's son. I read the story about Amechi, the Minister of Transportation. He was saying that he has no regrets in building the University of Transportation in Daura, which is our president's village, saying that when he had the job for working with the Chinese, he gave them 3 conditions. At first, they had to train 60 Nigerians, take them to China and train them on the technical skills for the railways, which has been done, according to him. So 60 Nigerians have degrees in railway technology. The second condition he gave them was they had to build a factory in Kajula, where they teach them how to build locomotives and coaches, and which, according to him, is being done. So they're constructing that factory to do that. And thirdly is the university, where people can actually study get degrees in railway transportation, which is great. So, so what this is telling me is that, yes, we have to deal with China, but it's not just for them to come and take from us. They're actually also giving back somehow,
and which is great. Preparing us to take over, so we should hope.
So hopefully, indeed, this should be a good takeover. Any other story in Vanguard?
Are we taking the 11 corpses now?
I thought you took already. Go ahead.
No, I haven't taken that. So in Port Harcourt, 11 dead bodies were reportedly abandoned in the boats. There's a creek around K Clan, Degeme local government area. They are saying that it was allegedly that they probably had an altercation with pirates and then they were killed. But because when the security operatives got to the boats where those people were abandoned, they saw pirates really running away from that environment. So investigations are ongoing to really ascertain what happened to those 11 bodies that were found.
Let me take the Nigerian Tribune. Power failure. Nigerians spend $14 billion on generators yearly, says African Development Bank. Let's find a story we've not taken. Police recruitment. IGP has powers to recruit, says court. UB Emergency Africa Bank of the Year. Pioneer Transport University will lead innovation. Policeman kills truck driver at checkpoint in Ondo. And 4.5 million Nigerians joined labor force in 2018. Who has the major lead in African Development Bank? Why can you have that?
No, I only have the policeman killing.
Go ahead.
The truck driver.
Yes, go ahead.
He got into the truck with the truck driver, and then he wanted 50 naira from him, and that one refused to give him the money, so they started arguing. And in the end, the guy just took the gun and pointed it
for 50 naira
and shot him. Oh, so there was a protest. The truck drivers just blocked the road but the police have said that they've arrested the policeman and justice will be served. Okay.
The major story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the senior director of the Bank of Nigeria, Ebrima Fal, has said that Nigerians have been spending over $14 billion in diesel and petrol for generators. So, but there's this program, this project, calm down, YK.
Yes, so
this project that they've started now,
all on that table.
NTEP, which is a Nigerian Transmission Expansion Project, which is going to like upgrade our electrical system, ensure that we have, we're able to distribute power properly. By then, we'll be able to reduce that amount spent on the diesel and fuel. You can go ahead and say what you have to say.
No, I'm just raising my hand that I'm one of the Nigerians that
spent 14 billion.
Yes, now.
Yes.
Okay, we have to
I
run
know
off.
the kind of pain that I go through every week buying diesel.
All of us now. We are,
so
we're
hopefully
all on
this
table.
project
will
alleviate the pain.
YK, we're all on this table.
We are not in the same league.
Okay,
I can promise you that you and I in this diesel matter.
Because you are running Shrine as well.
Shrine and the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you
I know
telling
your
me?
house is like a mansion of three buildings joined together.
I know the amount. I mean, you can't even save.
Right.
So I'm frustrated. I'm a frustrated person.
No,
and you are telling me to be grateful?
No, please be
31
grateful.
days of
please
grateful?
Be grateful. Please, can you
breathe.
hold my hand?
Yeah. Some people can't.
Be grateful.
You have something to be thankful for.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
31 days of...
Our final paper is Daily Trust, because we have to say the major headline. Members decry discrimination with World Disability Day, I think it's today.
Yes.
And members decry discrimination, want law enforced. And you can see our president here feeding physically challenged persons during the breaking of fast. And it's important we talk about this because it's our topic today. We have a few people living with disabilities in the studio that'll be joining us a bit later. But that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we return, hopefully Nima is in the building. We'll continue with other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So Nima is in the house. Welcome to the show, Nima. Now, moving on to our topic. We always hear people say that relationships, that the fact that parents, I hear pastors tell us all the time that your children, you're using borrowed time with your children. That these children are not your own. You must take them like, God gave them to you for this season. But it seems some parents actually totally don't agree with that. So that's the conversation today. That do you agree that our children are with us on borrowed time? Or do you feel that, listen, as a parent, you still have that jurisdiction to determine what they do and how they go about their lives? You can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. Let me start with you, Obajalu. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I think that when pastors say you're on borrowed time with your children, these kids have been given to you by God to take care of, they really do not explain it in such a way that the parents would understand it. So what I hear most times is in the context of leave your children to serve God. So the parents just feel, okay, when it comes to that, okay, I understand that my kids are meant to serve God and all of that. But the way I understood what we got as a topic today is the fact that, which I know for sure, that most African parents see their children as their property. They see their children as their mini selves. I have a child who has come to, fulfill all those my failed aspirations. I did not succeed as a medical doctor. My child will take over and become the medical doctor that I couldn't be. You know, they have children that they believe that, okay, because I'm the one that gave birth to you, I'm the one who needs to design your life the way you should go. I have to be the one to choose your husband for you. I have to be the one to choose your religion. Hey, hold on, no, it's not extreme. That's the typical African mentality of when it comes to having children. You know, but people are beginning to see that these like scholars and people who study, someone who likes to read deep into, my father calls me a philosopher now, I've realized that the child is a soul and a spirit on its own. The child has chosen to come through you. That child has a mature and adult spirit and soul.
I don't want us to finish all the conversation right, because I get the point. But you see, many of these scholars, we've not seen the product at the end of the day. Many of them give all these principles. Their children are probably still below 18 or below 15. So we've not even seen the product of all their lectures. So I'm still even waiting for these scholars' children. Let us see what happens at the end of the day. But first things first, I've seen a lot of parents who have actually directed their children. And today they are happy for it. I know a parent that when I was growing up, oh my goodness, studying was rigorous in their house. Me, in fact, I felt like I was in our own house, we were like dollars, because in their house, they didn't party, they didn't hang out, they're constantly studying. I thought it was a bit too much. Even my parents, my dad used to think, is it too much? I was all these ones. But today, I know where those children are. Because they condition those children to focus so much on their academics such that they knew nothing else. Yes, maybe they've done other things now, but I know where those kids are. They're international companies. They're in companies like World Bank. They're working in, not companies, they're working in international organizations.
Are they
so
happy?
These are people that I have seen what they've done. And now, maybe are they happy is a different question. But I have seen that those children, I see the fruits of that rigor that the parents took them through. So as much as I agree that we should allow these children to be who they are, but at the same time, should we totally negate the importance of parental direction, parental involvement in your growing and your choices that you make? Let me come to Nima.
Okay. The way I see this, I think they're addressing the entitled mentality of parents, you know, in demanding from their children. Because in my faith, and you know, I reflected on this a lot because of the way I get my children anyway. They are a trust. God says they are a trust unto you. They are not yours.
Okay.
They are entrusted to you. They are mine, entrusted to you to guide in life. So you have to do a good job for it, because you will give account for how they turn out. So in the end, it comes back to giving you this responsibility that you cannot fail at something. You do everything and every single thing that you can. But as soon as that child reaches puberty, certain decisions the child starts to take, you can't be accounting for them anymore. So you, at some point, just learn when to shift and watch and say, okay, now this is the time. But if you have done your foundational work, most likely they say, train your child you want your child to be. So you have to do the work before that child gets to that age of responsibility, which is, of course, after puberty in Islam. You start to do your work well, so that when that child reaches that point, you can sit back and allow that child now, you know, take decisions and be responsible.
Now that we are mothers and I mean, your daughter is she has her own wife and her own husband and children. I think now I see better what my parents were trying to do with me, because I can see that their interests in everything I was doing. Because I would actually like to be involved somewhat in my daughter's experience and her choices. So where do we draw that line? Where we understand that they are entrusted to us for a season, but at the same time, I have seen life before you. I know these things. I know the potholes.
That's why you're the guide now.
So, but sometimes you have to put your foot down on certain things. Like, you know, children nowadays want to take a lot of decisions.
But there's an age where you can put your foot down. There's an age where you cannot. In Islam recently, all the scholars are now criticizing parents for deciding which race their children will marry. Up far up in the Middle East and co areas. So there are certain tribes, they don't want to even hear their children having African husbands. But these days, you see the American Muslims are marrying cross races. And because the scholars are shouting and saying that it is not your call as a parent, what is important is that your child does not commit a sin. The child marries. You cannot be determining who is rich, who is what, and everything.
You know? In this cruel world.
I'll tell you from personal experience, you learn, you live and you learn. I remember when my late ex-husband and I were getting divorced, I was really, I must have custody of my child. So I went to my lawyer and I said, oh, this is you know, how when the divorce is not, it's acrimonious. And the guy sat me down for about 2 hours.
Yeah, he gave us that
and
story.
he spoke to me. I've told you this story before.
Yeah.
He spoke to me and he said, look, that child does not belong to you.
Background.
When that child, you and your husband, you are fighting for the child. One day she will wake up and she will say she's going to do this. What are you going to do? So the best thing is the two of you
join your hands
and just bring this child up properly. That's all. And when I sat down, I really, really thought about it. Today, where is my daughter? She's in England, I'm in Nigeria. She has made her decision to live far away from me.
Right.
I might not like it, but there's something I can do about it.
Yeah.
So
they become their own persons eventually.
she's become her own person. I remember when she was going to school, when she was going to university, and she wanted to do science, and I was, no, science is too hard, because I was talking from my own point of view. No, don't do science, or do art. She looked at me.
Is it your brain?
She said, what?
So,
what do you want me to be doing?
Are you for real?
I'm going to go park, discover the manager. Please. I want to do science. And in the end, I had to leave her.
Right.
And I remember when she was looking for what she was going to study, she went and checked the salaries of each profession before she chose the profession she was going to do.
Are you for real? Let me take this call from Matthew. Matthew, are you there? Thanks for calling. Oh, I'm so sorry for keeping you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a difference between directing and controlling.
Exactly.
So the job of the parents, which most Africans don't understand, is the fact that you are there to guide. You are there as a guide. You are there to direct. You are there to show the way to the best of your ability. But then you step back and let the child make the decisions. Like she rightly said, it's not you who determines what's an error. You know, growing up, let me even use myself as an example. Everything I've ever done in life, I have defied my parents back to back, and it paid me. Imagine if I had obeyed them back to back because I just wanted to please them.
I paid you better.
No, I don't think so. I'm having a ball. I don't know how happy or how more happy, but I am happy and I'm fulfilled living my life. And they look at me today and I'm grateful. And they have started. And they look at me today and they are grateful for my life. Now, I want to raise children who will not accept everything I say, hook, line, and sinker, because the truth is I have no idea how they are passed.
Rebellious children.
No. I wasn't rebellious, but I knew what I wanted as a child. And I would put my foot down and say, Daddy, this is what I want.
Well, you know, there's some children that are not like you. There's some that actually need real guidance.
So the thing is, you need to know when to draw the line. So I will teach you, this is what I think is the right way to go. But then if tomorrow you come and say, Mommy, I don't want to go this way, I won't force you. I'll just present the consequences of this way and that way, so you make your decision.
I remember when my daughter was going to primary school, nursery school for the first time, I took her to the school and I took her to the class. And I knew I couldn't, but I wanted to sit behind and just be shadowing her and seeing, what she was doing. And I couldn't, you have to leave the school. And I just, at that moment, I related it to our Creator. When our Creator puts us on this earth, He leaves us to find our way. So, what is different to us? Because we are made in our Creator's image.
Yes, so
we bring our children and we leave them.
Wow.
The only thing you can do.
Let me take this call from Ori. Like you said, we are made in our Creator's image. Very good. You are getting Ori, thanks for calling. Are you there? Good morning. Good morning. Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to join this program this morning. I've been following TVC, even while I'm not in Nigeria.
Yes, thank you.
I'm very happy to be part of this program.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is this. Based on the topic of discussion this morning, is the duty of the parents actually to take care of their children, give them guidance at birth from the time they start talking, just like what my Muslim sister here was saying, when they reach the puberty level. Now, what we are saying is this. It's not the duty of the parents to determine the future of the child.
Thank you.
It cannot be done. When we are, for instance, let me use myself as an example. When we are coming up from school days, everybody inspired to be a medical doctor, some inspired to be an engineer, some inspired to be a lawyer. Nobody ever inspired to be a tailor. But today, you find people doing mechanic jobs. You find people doing tailoring. You find people doing all sorts of, even the odd jobs. You understand? Every human being has got a spirit, soul, and body.
Thank you.
These children pass through the parents. We can only give them guidelines when they are growing small. Even the Bible says, train up a child in the way that he should go.
Okay, so thank you very much. Let's give a practical example. So your child is hanging out with people who you know that may bad influence for them, and he's teenager, maybe let's say 16, and they're at that age where they want to explore, do too many independence, color their hair green, wear baggy trousers, the whole works, and now you know that this crew he's hanging out with is not going to help him out. Yeah. You lay down the options. Listen, these guys are going to lead you here. Go with these ones, and he chooses to go with this guy. Wouldn't I say, oh, because it's their own world, it's their own direction,
no,
you're not leaving? No, I'm just telling you.
16.
Yes.
He's not an adult.
He's 16,
So I still reserve the right to choose what he will do. 18, if he's 18.
Yeah, you let him go.
No, you're in my house, and I've said this is bad and this is bad, and I present the consequences to you, and you choose to go, it's fine, it's okay.
Oh, you should go join the bad gang.
If anything happens, you bear it. No, but it's true.
Will you send him out of the house, or you will let him stay in the house?
Because I still want to have, to be able to, I still hope that I will influence him some way.
He brings armed robbers to your house.
No, it's not that bad. Calm down.
This has happened to a neighbor of mine whose friend came into the neighborhood and pulled a knife. Yeah. And so when the police came and they pointed to her son's house as the friend, she was like, hey, why did you people point to him? Even if he's the friend, what is his friend? And people will associate him with who? So I remember growing up, I had friends who wanted me to start clubbing at 13. They were already pimping at 13. So I would come home, and sometimes I would say it. Sometimes they would come visit, and my parents would be like,
who is this?
In my house, in mom's house, who is this one? Miniskirt, And my father would just call me. He's worried though, but the conversation does not seem like he's worried. These options that will be clearly spelled out, I swear, the choices I would make,
you will make a good choice.
Will give him a rest of my life.
Right.
So I'm hoping that it's that easy, because I didn't think he called it easy. He doesn't say, my mom does not ever agree it's even easy, because those conversations were not easy. But I'm hoping that it's that easy when I'm raising my child. Because I
just wanted to say before you round up that armed robber is somebody's child.
Yes. Right.
Exactly. And what happened? Did they guide the child? Yeah. Did they
we can't exhaust this conversation. I feel as if there's so much more we need to talk about, because we have to wrap up on this. But we'll make it the topic another day, where we'll talk about it. I'll get more callers and tweets in, and let's really get people's views on this. Those who have raised children, not those of us that are still raising. You can talk because you've been there. You've raised your children. They are still raising. Because you need to say, do this. All these intellectuals that just started reading books in the last few years, they come up with all sort of books, and they'll feed up with all this information, and you're wondering, how old is your own child again, Seth? So, you know what, let's go on a break. Let's go on a break.
I have raised.
It's Tuesday.
I'm starting to raise again.
To go on a break, unfortunately. We have to wrap up because we have so many other important things to discuss. When we come back, we'll bring in our first guest on today's show. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. After 9 years of relentless advocacy for the rights of people living with disabilities, our president had in January 23rd, 2019, had signed into law the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act. But till now, it's still not being effected. Today on the show, we'll be commemorating the World International Day of Persons with Disability. Our guests will be enlightening us on how they're being treated and what ways to make them feel better amongst us. Joining us on the show is the Executive Council member, Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind, Adeola Obagun. Also, we have the Vice Chairman, Board of Governors, Vocational Training Center for the Blind, Lanre Adebayo. Welcome to the show, lady and gentleman.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for having us.
So you can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, so I was saying earlier, our president signed this bill into law. Everybody was excited earlier this year, and we thought that by now, many people would have actually begun to make adjustments. But the act also gives that companies in public spaces adjusts the amenities to ensure accessibility for people living with disability. In your own view, working with people living with blind, people who are actually living with disabilities, how has it been? Have you seen any sort of changes so far since this bill was signed in January?
We haven't seen much progress, to be honest, and you know, and that's why we're very, very glad about a day like this. Today is the International Day for persons with disabilities, and we just want to reinforce that message that a bill has been passed, a law has been passed on preventing discrimination against people with disabilities, right? And there are consequences, so these must, all these consequences must be made known to people, to the public, to banks, to institutions. I mean, you have stories of, visually impaired people going into banks, and as they get to the security, doors, they're barred from entering because they won't let them go in with their guide canes. And it's like, this has to stop.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
Because it's
not allowed.
It's the awareness that is not out there.
You are talking about banks. Let me take the charity back home.
Right.
And that is here. We were coming here. There's a gate leading to one estate that comes straight down this way. Mm-hmm. And they said because I was on Go-Kada, they could not even exempt, even though if there was a rule saying that Go-Kadas and Taxifys and Ubers are not allowed, they could not exempt the one carrying me to bring me down here. And it's, in fact, Magodo, where you have a public service staff development center, they will not allow a visually impaired or physically challenged person to come in one of those taxis. That's the kind of a thing we face. But talking about implementing the law, things have to take some process. For instance, the law says there should be a commission. That commission is yet to be established, not to talk of a governing council of the commission. But what we can do at our level, just like my sister here said, those things, those aspects, especially concerning the private sector. For instance, I know that Section 1 of the Act says that, if you discriminate against a person with disability, if I cannot access your building, I can sue you. I can institute a civil action against you. Where the commission comes in, for instance, is that there's a section that says that if a public building is inaccessible, it is the commission you lay complaints to. So that's where the commission comes in. But there are a lot of things we can do. But there's one section that really intrigues me in that act. That's Section 2. And it talks about awareness, that the Ministry of Information should engage in awareness. What you are doing now is part of that awareness. The NBC should mandate broadcast stations to set out airtime, part of their airtime, for public service awareness campaigns on disability matters, that will not have to be paid for. One must emphasize that. The NCC, National Communication Commission, what do they call them?
Communication.
Should have, those that they are regulating, the television, sorry, not the telephone service providers, should make them engage in this awareness campaign. And that's why we at the Federal Nigerian Society for the Blind, as part of our, our vision is to become a world-class model for breaking down barriers affecting the blind.
As a federal agency, are you funded? Are you supported by the government? Because
now, it's good you asked that question. Federal Nigerian Society for the Blind is a non-governmental organization.
Okay.
But when it was founded in 1955, those who founded it, the Agostos and their foreign friends and Nigerian friends who founded it, wanted it to be seen as a national, a nationwide stuff. Okay. That was why they gave it the name Federal. But people always think that we're a federal government agency. We are not. Oh. And we have tried in vain to change that name, to drop the word federal. Right. But it was just impossible. So, but we're there as an NGO, not being funded by any government, except they suddenly remember us and give us something.
Yes. So our name is actually Federal Nigeria Society for the Blind. It means that we attract people not just in Lagos, but from the whole federation.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's what the name, really means. Yes.
I do understand. I wanted to talk about, because as you're speaking, it seems to me that every policy was, largely lip service. Everybody says one thing when it comes to the commemoration of the anniversary and go back to status quo. We are not necessarily improving. Even government offices, the appointments are based on, let's just do something so that they know. We have not really made a deliberate effort to make this part of our society. So it comes down to who we are as Nigerians. I'd like to know, you're a lawyer, in your practice, how easy is it for you to relate with people? Do people come to you easily? Do they find it natural to, to want to engage you professionally?
Now, let me disillusion our minds a bit. In UK, in US, and those other countries where they have had laws like this for over 30 years, they are still struggling with this attitudinal issue, which is what you have said.
Okay.
And that was why I emphasized Section 2, which has to do with awareness.
Okay.
Answering your question directly, a colleague of ours in UK, he's also a legal practitioner, said that, one, it is expensive to set up your chambers as a blind lawyer. But after setting it up, people will not patronize you. They would rather go to the sighted lawyers. Yes. It's as bad as if you and I walk into a restaurant, or if Adeola and I walk into a restaurant, and they want to find out, they want to serve us tea, and they want to ask if I take sugar. They won't ask me directly. They will face whoever comes with me. Does he take sugar? As if I can't hear, or as if I don't have a mouth to speak for myself. So it's really attitudinal change. Like a friend of mine said, if you have the best of laws, but you don't have the mechanism for socio-cultural reorientation, then those laws are just going to be on paper.
Yes.
And how many people can you drag to court? And how many people can afford to go to court? But having the good laws, yes, one leg. Socio-cultural reorientation is the other important leg that must be put forward.
I totally agree with you, and I'll come to Adeola on this one. She said this social-cultural change is extremely important. I think we all agree. But how do we go about it? We've been talking about this for many, many years. What's the starting point? What can Nigerians do? We have the floor now. What can Nigerians do to ensure that change of mindset?
That change of mindset begins with you and me, begins with everybody. Nobody is left out. I'm not a visually impaired person. In fact, there's no visually impaired person in my family. So people are always like, Adeola, why are you so concerned about the blind people? But I'm just like, it's something that I believe everyone should have a cause that they align with, because it will make us a better person as a whole. And, I've chosen to align with this cause, So that's why I'm like, we just have to make that awareness known, right? And, talking about this, talking about the disability law, I think the government has done the right thing in finally passing the bill on the 23rd of January this year, right? And of course, with everything, we don't expect microwave results.
It's going to take a process.
It's going to take a while, but as much as possible, everybody we meet, we always try and educate them. We always try and inform them of what's going on. We always just try and make sure we are spreading the message. For instance, even sometimes, like, let's say if I go to dinner in a nice restaurant, I would tell them, what if a blind person came here? Do you have a menu in Braille so that the blind person will be able to read? Because blind people can read, it's just, it has to be Brailled. So, just everyone is always a target because everyone can.
I would just love the gentleman to answer that same question. Because we've heard it from you that you're not visual.
Yes.
What do you think? How do you think we can really go about changing the mindset of people?
Well, first of all,
because it's already in our minds. We're already like that. How do we change?
I'll tell you one thing. Some years back, I used to produce and anchor a TV program on a private TV station in this country. And I made sure I had visuals to support whatever we were talking about. And on one particular occasion, I focused on farm and blind people working on the farm, you know, crop farming and livestock farming, which is part of what we do in our center, at the Vocational Training Center for the Blind there. And people were saying, wow, you mean blind people can work on the farm? You mean blind people do not have to go begging? So what I'm saying, therefore, is that in addition to awareness, providing opportunities, providing the necessary support. At the Federal Nigerian Society for the Blind, for instance, our mission is to provide sustainable and collaborative support for the blind. And in doing so, we advocate for, we rehabilitate and empower the blind, and also work towards prevention of blindness. Let me tell you this, for instance.
Let me pause you for a quick second. I have a call. Let me hold on for a second. Okay. Good morning. Are you there? It's been holding for a while. Hello?
Yeah, good morning, Mariah.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Right. Today, my heart goes out to all those that are disabled, and it's really something that bothers the heart, because the government should have done something to accelerate the integration in society and taking good, proper care of. And that said, as well, we that are a bit okay and able, I think it's a day we look at ourselves and appreciate God for it, because the fact that we can do certain things on our own, be all that we want to be, and there's no infringement on our wills and our rights, is a thing to thank God for. I'm a designer, I'm a teller. I wonder if I don't have my sight and certain things, how I've been able to do all these things. So my heart goes out to them, and I send them. I'm grateful to God today on a day like this. And back to your first topic, I'll quickly just say that it's about directing. When you're talking about what boundaries you need to keep with your child, Mariah, it works this way. So you want your child to be a footballer, like I do. Okay, so what you do basically is that you begin to buy the child balls, you begin to make the child understand, okay, this. You're not going to tell him, I just, okay, this is what I wanted to be, so every time I buy you balls, I take you to the games, and I make you enjoy this thing. But the point is that your child lives in a different generation from yours. You will put it in your mind somewhere that if this child comes up tomorrow and says, I'm not going to go through this way, you have to terminate it there and there, because you have to react.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes. Now, to answer your question, Nima, you asked about me practicing law.
Yes.
I had to stand up there and face the court. And today, to God be the glory, clients come and we deal with their cases. I've been practicing for close to 20 years.
Wow.
And I have got quite a handful of judgments. If the opportunity was not provided, if I was not determined to use the opportunity, then the society would not realize that I can do it.
Fantastic. We have to round up, but let me let you throw up a question.
So this organization that you have for the visually impaired, how does it cover all of the visually impaired in Nigeria, and how do you solicit for support? Let's take, for instance, I know that recruitment is a major problem here, because most employers will not want to recruit someone who they believe will not be able to see, So, but if you now have a case where someone who's qualified and is not given the job based on that, is there anything you do to fight for that person? Does your organization handle such?
Oh yes, as the need arises, we get involved. We actually have, we have boarding facilities for 100 students, right? So 100 visually impaired people can be at our center, and we usually start, our term usually starts in January, right? And at the moment, we still have vacancies, so please don't keep blind people at home. But in answer to your question, trying to answer your question, we do get involved sometimes, and of course, as the need arises. But there's also one thing I want to state as well. Regarding the disability law, there's actually a section of it that states that all public organizations must employ at least 5% of their staff of their workforce from the disabled community, right? So it's actually a law. And this is what we are going to be pushing more than ever from next year.
Well done. Well done. We have to wrap up on that, but is there any final message, sir, you'd like to put out there before we wrap up on this?
Well, the final message that I want to put up there is that the Vocational Training Center for the Blind, which is a flagship project of the Nigerian Society for the Blind, needs emergency rescue. It's a project for all of us. It's an NGO project. It's been on for 64 years now. No, since 1956, it's been on for 63 years. Turning out blind persons, rehabilitating them, making them self-employed, making them employable. Now it's being affected by socio-economic depression and pressures all over the place. So we need all the financial rescue we can get. Just like Adeola said, don't keep any blind person at home. You see, we are in a dilemma. Now, it costs us about 800,000 to rehabilitate a blind person per annum. We are only saying they should pay 150, so it's heavily subsidized. That 150, those who cannot pay, we can't turn them back. So we have to bring them on while we do something like this to source for funds to
all right, we'll try to do what we can to support you. Thank you so much for coming.
Andrew in Stratham has said I should shake your hand because he thinks that you're doing a very commanding
You shake
job.
it during the break.
So he can
all
see.
right. So
Thank you.
I do make bold to say that TVC here has hired people living with disabilities, people who are blind work here in radio stations.
That's true.
People on wheelchair work here. All our facility here, it has access. In fact, we have 2 parking spaces for people with disabilities. People can easily access any part of the building.
Morayo, let me cut you. This station is actually a role model in a particular way. Let me tell you why. You don't say it yourself. I'll tell you exactly the way I say it. Now, many of our TV stations will say, blah, 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 program, this time on, and they show the time, forgetting that I'm on my own at home, and I want to know what time that program comes on. Honestly, that's your baby Alawo kind of automated program announcer on TVC. I say baby Alawo because it sounds like something like that. It tells you when the program is coming on, and it tells you, and the way you also read the telephone lines, whereas some people will say, those social media contacts on your screen, and I say, oh my God, but there's a blind man here who is also watching.
See the screen.
So your TV station is actually a role model in that area, and I want other TV stations to emulate what you are doing in that regard.
On that note, we gladly end this segment. Thank you so much. We're going to break. When we come back, we're still talking things related to health, and we'll be discussing HIV. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you very much.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us in commemorating World AIDS Day, which took place on Sunday. We have a doctor on the show to discuss what to do to reduce the scourge of HIV/AIDS amongst persons aged 14 to 24 years. This age bracket falls between children in secondary schools and the universities to build new generation from this disease. Joining us on the show is a consultant public health physician, Dr. David Oladile. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
You can call us on 070-806-6804. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect, please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, when we were growing up, they were telling us about protection or abstinence and all that. But we now see young kids between 14 and 24, they're very sexual. For whatever reason, they're active. And we must not lose sight of that fact. Now, the campaign we grew up with is not very prevalent today because we just assume that everybody already knows. But today we're practically silent on this issue of HIV/AIDS, which is still existing. So what can we begin to do, especially for those young kids that just feel as if they feel like being sexually active is normal, it's a modern thing, it's trending, it's an in thing to do. Many of them don't understand the consequences. So could you please help us again share the consequences of and how far we've come with this disease in Nigeria?
Well, okay, 2 questions in one. Let's see how we tackle. Let's start with how far we are going with HIV/AIDS. So it's good to go down the memory lane.
Yeah.
The first HIV case in Nigeria was diagnosed in the year 1986. And from then till now, a lot has taken place. In year 2002, that is when the federal government of Nigeria rolled out HIV treatment. And in year 2004, we had the support of the US government through the PEPFAR fund. And the prevalence has gone from 4.1 in 2010, now it's 1.4. So if you want to talk generally, look at numbers, we are making some progress.
Yes.
But when we look at absolute numbers, Nigeria being, we're around 200 million people now, and if you look at, compare that prevalence and the numbers with other countries in Africa, we actually, we are nowhere to be found, but number 2 in Africa, as it were. So there's a lot to be done. UNAIDS, United Nations Program for HIV and AIDS, reported that the age group just mentioned, that's 40 to 24 years, about 3.9 million have HIV worldwide. And I just saw one data that really got me started. About 1,600 are infected daily in that age group. No, generally, globally.
The world.
And globally, 1 young person in that age group die every 10 minutes from HIV. So HIV is still very much with us. And why this age group very important is because they are risk takers. Like rightly said, they don't know they are right from the left. And they feel that they are invisible, they want to enjoy their life, they want to go have fun, they want to go to clubs, do all manner of stuff. And because of that, they don't understand prevention. They don't understand how to take care of themselves. And again, our healthcare system is not structured to accommodate them. I saw a video online about a young lady who went to a certain hospital. And she was, when I talked to someone about HIV and STI, she was asking for a condom. Apparently, she didn't know that the nurse there was her mother's friend. And she shouted, "You're already having sex. What are you looking for? Why are you looking for a condom? I'm going to tell your mother." Of course, she left. I think it was a drama, but that is what happened, really. Most of our health centers, they are not youth-friendly. So even when they are in need of care for STI, sexually transmitted infection, or HIV, they don't know where to go. So there's a culture of silence. That's another thing. Parents don't even talk to their parents, to their children about HIV. So there's a culture of silence about it.
We talk.
Now you're talking.
They talk to
No,
us.
it's sex they talk. They don't talk about HIV.
But the talk is that...
The consequence of premarital sex was told to me that it was...
No, but the talk in those days that if a man touch you, you're going to get pregnant.
No,
That's what we don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore.
I wanted to talk about,
Okay.
at 12, in just 3 or so, I got my first pack of condoms.
Oh, fantastic.
But it was male condoms in school. So they brought the condoms.
Was that in Lagos?
In Lagos here.
Okay.
And they made all of us come out in there at 1 p.m. Assembly. And that's announcement time, serious business time.
Come on now.
We had our VP guidance and counseling then address us on HIV. And then they distributed packs of condoms to us. Everybody took 2 packets. Whether you are sexually active or not, take it to collect. So I wonder now how there's so much more social media, everything, and then they don't have such an intervention in schools. We don't hear young people. I don't see young people come home and show their parents. Some people don't even, they still pretend about condoms. You understand? So why is it now that we have more, Tayeti Laju, that kind of thing? We're more global now. And
we're not more quiet about it. Because
we're not quiet about it.
We assume that HIV is no more an issue.
Yes.
I get that just the basic line, the bottom line. We felt that no big deal, something will kill somebody.
Something must kill a man.
You know, but we know that HIV is an issue, a very strong issue. And thankfully, again, maybe another reason is because in the year 2002, when we started HIV treatment, where I work, people come into the hospital on stretchers, on wheelchairs because they're very sick. But now, people look like us, healthy, call me for treatment.
You will know.
So people know that, okay, HIV is not really the end of the world.
Okay.
But even at that, they're still taking risk. Should I shock you with one thing that something I found out a couple of years back? No, I think it was just last year. A counselor where I work told me that a young lady is positive, got pregnant. And she asked her, who is doing all the pregnancy? The lady said, I don't know.
Hey,
So apparently she's positive. she's not using protection.
I probably had sex with multiple people.
Yes.
Yeah, she had multiple. So, and those guys will not know that she's positive. So we are scared that we can have another epidemic of HIV. And this one could be of drug-resistant HIV, because if they are not taking their treatment and they are still transmitting the virus all around. So it's a major issue. So I think we need to go back, like Bradley mentioned, to talk more.
Yeah, because I remember a few years ago, there were a lot of adverts. Yeah. So people became aware. Because the reason it even reached epidemic proportions in Nigeria at that time was because nobody was talking about it. So nobody was aware. Now they've started again. It's going to do. So how, now I don't want to call government, but it's government that has to do the adverts. How are we going to implore the government to do these adverts?
Well, YK, the problem also, parents are not talking about it.
About it to their children.
Pastors, mosques, nobody's talking the fact that we're not facing the reality that these children are actually engaged in this activity.
But the thing is, Murayo, if you put it in our faces, if TVC has an advert every day.
There was one that time now, abstinence and mutual fidelity is the solution to HIV. I know that one very well.
Their project. Another TV station takes it up. They start
every morning.
The day. Pastors will watch the TV. They too will take it from there. It is being in our faces. That's the only way.
So I know that sex is not the only way you can contract HIV. Now, research has shown that even in the Europe, North Africa, a lot of that HIV virus has been gotten through drug use, drug injections. And we'll be talking about the abuse of drugs here over and over. Now, so when we're going to be passing the information to young people, now we know that a lot of our young people are into drugs. So it's not just the sex now, the drugs are involved. So how do we pattern our message in such a way that it appeals to the youth?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I will approach it in two ways. First, I want to talk about the fact that people that use drugs, we know that 7 out of every 10 of those who get HIV got it through sexual means. But the remaining 3%, it could be through injecting drugs, it could be through sharing needle objects, it could be vertical transmission, mother to child. Now, be that as it may, another aspect that you touch on, I just want to quickly brush on, is the fact that when people use drugs, they might not really be using intravenous drug, but when they take, we have a lot of they take now, squishy, all this tramadol, you are disinhibited.
Meaning that you know squishy. Are you sure you don't drink it?
Hey, Jesus.
I wouldn't be like.
Go ahead, Mike.
Don't mind him. I just learned about it.
I just try to put my leg. Well, no, I'm a public health physician. I know what's happening around me, so I should know that. Now, a lot of these young folks, when they drink this stuff, they are disinhibited. In other words, they throw off their guard. So they are most likely to practice extreme sexual practices. Some are involved in anal sex, some don't use condoms, so, and the risk is higher in that regard. Now, the second aspect you mentioned, how do we now reach out to them in a creative way? And that is one of the things that we are doing at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research now. We have a grant with NIH in the US, in partnership with some other institutions outside the country, St. Louis University in Missouri, and University of North Carolina in the US. We are championing an innovative approach to encourage HIV self-testing.
Self-testing?
Self-testing. So what is HIV self-testing? It's like pregnancy self-testing. A young lady go to the shop, buy a kit, check for pregnancy. So we are trying, there are kits that I can use in the comfort of my home to test for HIV.
Without prying eyes.
Without the prying eyes of the adults or going to the healthcare facility.
Let me pause you. We're going to come back to it. Let me take this call from Benjamin. We're going to break. Benjamin, are you still there?
Yes.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
On the first topic you treated earlier, you talked about people with disability. Are you with me?
Yes, very much we are.
Yes. The way people with disability is being treated in the country is something worrisome. Last week, few weeks ago, I lost my wife simply because of that. We're at the hospital. A nurse came outside to attend to us. Actually, we said she now requested for a wheelchair. Unfortunately, the nurse went back on her feet, playing with the phone, while she told us that she was going to get us a wheelchair. So in that kind of situation, what will you do? What do you do? a day after she passed away. It's a very serious scenario in my mind. After treatment, she was given a treatment. There was no bed. We were referred to another hospital. The treatment after that was very poor. They saw her on the wheelchair throwing up. None of these nurses could attend to her. It's a very,
Really,
very
so sorry
dilemmatic
for your loss, sir. This is something that we're going to keep talking about concerning the medical sector in our country. It's not something we're going to take lightly, and really sorry for your loss. We're going to go on a quick break now. We'll come back. We'll talk about this kit you mentioned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, yes, YK.
Yes, I have some
tweets,
tweets, please.
Go ahead.
Yes, Andrew in Chatham says, please talk or release an Afro-pop tune for the 18 to 24-year-olds about HIV, both through sex and drug use, needle sharing. I wanted to read that one because it's very important, because that's what they listen to.
Yes.
All these young kids, this Afro-pop that they listen to. So if government can even sponsor one, they will hear it and they will take notes.
In days when NBC have a battle, banning songs that promote premarital and, you know, young adolescent casual sex and all those things in the name of music, we have one like that promoting something like that.
I'd like to go back to the issue of the kids, because that's really important. If people have that power to know, but unfortunately that's not enough to get them to tell, to share, because yes, you know your status, but I can't compel you to ensure that whomever you're with, you tell them, this is my status.
But you can protect yourself by demanding.
Well, so how is this kit ready in the market, or is it just still an idea? What exactly, what's the status of this kit you're talking about?
Okay, all right. Like I said, we're trying to pilot this.
Okay.
And what we're trying to do, the kit is just part of what we're trying to do. We're trying to promote HIV self-testing. But we're not doing it the way it's been done before.
Okay.
Because what we have in the country is that you have the different cadre of government make a decision, a policy, this should be done. And they roll it out the way we think. But we stay back in research mode that, okay, what if we have the young people, ask the young people themselves how they wanted to be tested for HIV/AIDS?
Very good.
Now, what is your idea of the best way to promote HIV self-testing among the young people? So, about 2 months ago, we launched a contest online on our social media platform, and people submitted their ideas. We even wrote letters to secondary schools in Lagos, private and public, and they sent in their entries. We collected the entry. This just last Sunday, we had an open field event at the police college in Ikeja, in which the top 30 came out to pitch the idea publicly on what they think is the best way to actually test for HIV/AIDS. And one of the things that you mentioned was one of those things they mentioned, that, okay, why don't we create awareness through music? That could drive it. Then some said, why can't we go to barber shop? They love interesting,
Yes.
They love interesting ideas. I'm interested, this is the second edition of what we are doing. Last year we had one edition, last year, what is there? And after that program, we transit to the next phase of health hackathon. We call it Designathon. So we have about 10 different teams of 4 young people come together
to design it.
To design an intervention in that regard.
That sounds really great. I mean, time's gone, but unfortunately we have to wrap up. But I think it's something we need to work with you on. I think because it's important, we continue to drum this into the ears of our young people, especially that 14 to 24. We'll bring you back. So tell us when this kit finally arrives and other interventions that you plan.
If I can just, the kit's already around. I'm aware that Lagos State Aid Control Agency just took stock of some of them, and even in Naima we have some kids that we are currently piloting these. We have 2 groups working in Lagos, 1 group working in Ibadan.
We'll send details online for our followers to see, so we'll get them the details. But thank you very much for coming on the show to share with us. Unfortunately, that is all we can take on the show today. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We're trying really hard to get gifts for our audience every Wednesday. I've been working behind the clock, around the clock actually, not behind the clock, around the clock to get us something. So hopefully very soon we'll get them some gifts. But have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.